We're in the fifth chapter of Sotah. Rabbi Akiva has made this drush. He's learned from the Pesukim that just as the water tests the woman, it also tests the man, that they are both tested together by the water. And he learns this. He makes a drush from the verses. And he uses, by the way, the dual, he uses the dual use of the word uva'u, but he then carries on to use the word nitma'a. She is defiled. And Rabbi Akiva is now going to go on to make various other random or seemingly random disconnected midrashim on disconnected topics. We've seen before that the way the Mishnah works is very often chaining one topic to another in some way. So he's going to jump off using the root of nitma, which is tameh, pure. Tameh is impure. Tameh and tahor are pure and impure. So Rabbi Akiva is going to make another drush. And we've said already that, gosh, the whole subject of the tractate of Sotah is the question of uncertainty or certainty. We're trying to resolve certainty. And of course, the tension at the time of Rabbi Akiva is after the destruction, after the first destruction, just before the war of the uprising in 125. The whole tension there is, well, how do we know that we're learning the right halacha? And we're going to see that Rabbi Akiva resolves questions which were previously unresolved by recourse to the verses, to the Pesukim. So he does innovate. But he innovates with regard to he innovates from the written text. Let's see how he does it. Yom darash Rabbi Akiva. On that day, Rabbi Akiva expounded. By the way, that day seems to be the day when Rabban Gamliel is deposed. So there's an outburst of creativity in the Beit Midrash, and people are drushing, people are learning all over the place. The membership of the Beit Midrash has expanded. So many people who were previously forbidden can come in, and creativity has just taken off. So on that day, Rabbi Akiva makes the following drush. And he brings a verse from Vayikra, from Leviticus, V'chol kli cheres asher yipol mehem el tocho, kol asher b'tocho yitma. Every earthen vessel into which any of them falls. Them, by the way, these are dead, creepy crawlies. So these are dead, creepy crawlies, and they're going to make the vessel a dead, creepy crawly is a primary source of tuma, of uncleanness. Okay, but this is ritual tuma. So we're focusing on tuma and tahara, on cleanliness and uncleanliness. So the dead sherets, the dead creepy crawl is going to fall into this, into this vessel. And everything in it shall be unclean. So everything in that pot is affected by the dead, creepy crawly that's fallen into it. But Rabbi Akiva continues, Eino omer tameh ela yitma. The verse doesn't say kol asher b'tocho tameh, everything is unclean. It says kol asher b'tocho yitma, which literally is shall be unclean. But of course, in the world of Rabbi Akiva, we don't have vowel pointing. So it could be yitama, shall be made unclean, or it could be yutameh, shall make unclean. So there are different ways of reading this word without the vowel points. And we'll see that, well, let's see how Rabbi Akiva uses it. Eino omer tameh, ela yitma. It doesn't say tameh, but yitma. Le tameh et acherim, to make other things unclean. So he's reading yutameh rather than yitma. L'tameh et acherim, to make other things unclean. Ulelamed al kikar hasheni sheyitameh et hashlishi, to teach you that a loaf which is second degree unclean can make something else third degree unclean, i.e., things can reverberate on. And until this point, I think there was argument that the things could reverberate on in terms of holy foods. But Rabbi Akiva seems to be learning that even ordinary non-holy food, chulin, could be made unclean on the third degree. And Rabbi Yoshua he's going to throw out a bit of praise. Amar Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Yoshua said, Mi yigale afar me'einecha Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. He's going to address himself to their teacher, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, their joint teacher, by the way. This is both Rabbi Akiva's and Rabbi Yoshua's. And he says, who is going to clear away the dust from your eyes, Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai? Because you thought this wasn't possible. Shehaita Omer used to say, Atid dor acher l'taheret hakikar hashlishi. A future generation will actually pronounce the third degree uncleanness clean. L'taheret hakikar hashlishi. It'll say all of that is clean. She'ein lo min haTorah, because there's no proof for it in the Torah. It's got to be clean. There's no proof. V'harei Akiva talmidach hevilo mikra min haTorah. But your student, Rabbi Akiva, has brought me a verse from the Torah, shehu tameh, that it's unclean. And now we're going to quote our verse, shene'emar kol asher b'tocho yitma, because it is said, everything in it shall be unclean. Shall not only be unclean, but shall make other things unclean. And Rabbi Akiva is not going to stop there. He's going to carry on proving previously unknown halachot from the Torah. And he's going to appeal to a couple of verses at the end of Sefer Bamidbar, at the end of Numbers, in which the cities of the Levites are laid out. And in verse 4 of chapter 35, the text says that the Levites get 1,000 cubits, that's about half a kilometer, 1,000 cubits of vacant land, you could say garden land, outside the city roundabout. So they get 1,000 cubit, 1,000 amah green belt. But the next verse says, you shall measure 2,000 cubits around. And that is going to be the open space, the green belt. So what is it? Is it 1,000 cubits or 2,000 cubits? That's half a kilometer, a full kilometer. 2,000 cubits, by the way, 2,000 amah. That is, by the way, the Shabbat boundary, the boundary which you can't transgress on Shabbat. Although, of course, that is just rabbinic. Well, we thought it was rabbinic, but let's just listen to Rabbi Akiva. Boba Yom Darash, Rabbi Akiva, on that day, same day, Rabbi Akiva expounded. You shall measure off 2,000 cubits around the town on the east side. That's verse 5. And it goes on to explain the same for all the other directions. And we got another verse that says, another verse saying from the wall of the city outwards, 1,000 cubits. So we've got the contradiction between 1,000 and 2,000. Ef shalomar elef amah. You can't say it's 1,000. Shekvar nemar alpaim ba'amah, because it's already been stated 2,000. Ve'ef shalomar alpaim ba'amah shekvar nemar elef amah. You can't say 2,000 because it's already stated 1,000. By the way, Rabbi Akiva is clearly playing with the time sense of these two verses. He doesn't think one just because it comes before the other is earlier. So anyway, they contradict one another. So how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to deal with it? Why does it say 1,000 cubits and why does it say 2,000 cubits? Well, let's appeal to our principle that nothing is superfluous. Ela elef amah migrash ve'alpaim tuchum Shabbat. 1,000 cubits for the open spaces. So the garden city around the cities of the garden space around the cities of the Levi'im are 1,000 cubits. Ve'alpaim tuchum Shabbat. 2,000 cubits for the Shabbat limit. So the Shabbat limit, which we thought was rabbinic, Actually, we can derive it from the Torah, from this verse, even though this verse, by the way, has nothing whatsoever to do about keeping Shabbat in it. And by the way, Rabbi Eliezer won't agree with this. Rabbi Eliezer, Beno Shel Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. This is not the same as the Rabbi Eliezer, the contemporary of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer, Beno Shel Rabbi Yossi, he says, Elef Hamami Grash Ve'alpaim Sadotu Kramim. Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Yossi, says 1,000 cubits of green space and 2,000 cubits for fields and vineyards. So he has another way around this. But Rabbi Akiva's exegetical expertise, his prowess is unquestioned. And as we look at the next couple of Mishnah, we'll see he just doesn't stop there.